There we go. So, hello everybody who's watching now and in the future. Thanks for joining. And today I have a special guest on Coffee Talk. I'm so excited. Dr. Jackee Shu. So, hey Jackee, thanks for coming to play.
Hi. Thank you.
Yeah, so tell everybody where you're from and then we'll just chat and see what's going on.
Like Gary says, I'm from everywhere. But
Oh.
obviously I look Chinese, right? Actually, I was born in Malaysia and went to middle school in Singapore and came to the States for college. And then I stayed since.
So you really are from everywhere.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How many languages do you speak?
I speak Mandarin and Cantonese, English, and I can get by in Malaysia and Indonesia where they speak the native language. I can get by going to the market, ordering food.
Oh, I'm impressed. I'm always impressed with people who can, come from such a different language base and get English, first of all, because English is so complicated. Anyway.
You want to know how I learned English?
Sure.
Like, well, number one, I could speak English with my cousins, so my parents wouldn't, especially my mother.
I love it.
And then, and then it was the romance novel that really helped me. Like, learn English.
That's so funny. I learned Italian by going to the certified trainings in Italy back when they didn't do simultaneous translation in a headset. So Cass was up on stage with Gary and Dane, and they'd say it and she'd repeat, and they'd say it and she'd repeat. And it was just really cool. I learned Spanish when I was growing up, and Italian is similar, but different. And so it's kind of cool.
We all have that capacity, right?
I guess we do. We just have to destroy and uncreate everywhere we think we can't.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just on the Talk to the Entities Summit, and there was a lot of Chinese. And so they would speak and then the translator would translate. And I have no idea what they're saying. It's so different.
And do you know, I remember people reminding, on one of the calls, the coaching calls, right? They ask us to, hey, try to listen to this class in another language. You might get something else that you couldn't get in your main language.
Yeah, that's so true.
Right.
I think they've even done clearings or ESCs in other languages. And I think there was one, I don't know what it was, some sort of a loop, and it had every single language on it. So you could really get the energy when you couldn't understand it with your mind. And that's always very interesting.
And I think language is on a different part of the brain too. It might stimulate that other part of the brain that I guess people don't normally tap into. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Cool. So do you facilitate in those other languages, or?
No. English is my main language now. But I just love the Chinese language, the certain aspect of it. It's so beautiful. Like the literature, the ancient Chinese language. When I was younger, I went to school that taught Chinese, and one of my aspiration was to study Chinese literature when I don't have to work for a living. That's my original aspiration. It's a very beautiful language. I wonder what is possible there. Yeah.
Oh, there's a few people on with us. Jenny and Nini. I don't see any other names, but if anybody wants to ask a question or comment or whatever, go ahead and put it in the chat. Today we were going to chat about being the contribution, or what contribution are we that maybe we're not acknowledging. So you were going to talk about something.
Yeah. Well, the reason, one of the many reasons I became an acupuncturist or doctor of acupuncture was I was ill. I was ill to a point where I was kind of like, what was, like it was like at a point where I was like, oh, is this gonna be like this for the rest of my life? Because the medication didn't work and it had a lot of other additional side effects to the symptoms I already had. And I started changing my food, my environment, the people I spend my time with, and many other things that I put in my body and on my body. One of the things I changed was my nutrition. And there's this farm in Pennsylvania that is 100% grass fed, and they feed their pork, the pig, with whey and milk byproducts from their cheese making process. Yeah. Anyway, they have been going through some challenges. I love that farm because throughout the pandemic, they were open and operating, and we could actually drive up there. They just like, come on in. They don't have a store, you just write on the list what you want. And they don't, they don't smell like a commercial farm. The commercial farm stinks to high heaven.
Yeah.
And like miles from it, you can smell it in the air. But anyway, the kids are like part of the, like they know how to take your order like children, but they learn how to, help out. Anyway, they have been going through some challenges from some of the governing authorities. So for not what they claim, not complying. Yeah. So it's to a point where like the owner can go to jail if they don't have the money to pay the USDA. So yeah. So, and then I'm like, it's been on my mind.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So what questions are you asking?
Right. What can I contribute, right? I mean, just by being me, in addition to buying more things from them, or, right, what else?
Yeah, it's funny when we see something and it's an issue or a problem or whatever. A lot of times people put energy into the problem and looking for an answer instead of asking a question, and putting energy into other possibilities. I have this other group that a group of ladies, it's called Expand Your Sparkle. And over last week, I went for a hike in this area where there's a lake that is used as a reservoir for overflow of water, when we get low, and we're very low right now. And I'd never seen it so low. So I was taking pictures, and they had these signs up saying drought and conserve water. And it's like all this really heavy energy about the problem. And so I just did this little video saying, yes, acknowledge something needs to change. And what can we be? What can we ask for? Can we ask for rain? Like, even though it's not a rainy season and it's not typical, what if we put energy into other possibilities to create something, even if we don't know what it is, instead of making it bad and wrong and putting more energy into that?
Thank you for saying that, because my immediate reaction was I have known some past cases where similar situation occurred and how the outcome was. And I went straight to that. And when you were just saying that, it gave me the idea of, wow, what if I just ask 10 questions every day about this, like, what else can be possible or for them, you know, for this to turn out in a way that contributes to all,
Yeah.
something like
And
that, right?
we have, like, we don't actually acknowledge how much our thoughts and our energy contributes to whatever it is that we're putting our attention on. So if we're putting our attention on things that are supposedly bad or problems, we're adding to it. And it's not about not looking at it. You have to look at it. But if you look at something with consciousness, without the right or wrong, good or bad, then you have the possibility of asking a question and changing it. What can I be to change this situation? I have no idea, but by asking the question, it opens up other possibilities that might not have existed before.
Or
And
even like,
that
what
is a huge
question can I,
contribution. Yeah.
or like, what can I ask that could change this? What question can I ask?
Yeah. It's so potent and we have no idea. And it's funny because I made that little video and I immediately I was like, wow, you know, this is where I come from. This is my point of view and I'd love to share it. And then I thought, if I just share that on my main Facebook page, everybody's going to think that I'm like a Pollyanna and I'm an
Yeah.
idiot. So what judgment am I not willing to receive? But it's like, it's, you know, what if it's true? What if our energy and our contribution is way greater than we've given ourselves credit for?
Mm-hmm.
So let's ask everybody here if they're willing to contribute to possibilities for that farm and for all the farms and for all the businesses that are struggling because of this pandemic or whatever.
Yeah.
So whatever energy you're willing to contribute, let's do it on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Woo! 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I wonder what that'll create.
Yeah. I wonder. I'm just gonna go buy 6 buckets of ice cream from them. and more. Because
Yeah.
yeah.
And like, yeah, I wonder how many people in the neighborhood don't even know about that farm. And, you know, how could you share your joy and love of their products?
Oh, by the way, speaking of which, one of the things I have never been able to do until recently was I could not like the conventional ice cream somehow caused like severe reaction in me.
Mhm.
It, until I found out about raw milk in Maine. Like, I went to Maine and had raw milk ice cream,
Uh-huh.
and it that was like the first time I could totally enjoy ice cream without reaction. Like,
Wow.
yeah, uh,
That's
and I found
amazing.
this farm has like the full cream, full milk, maple sugar ice cream,
Okay,
and
so people are asking what's the name of the farm?
Miller's Organic Farm in Pennsylvania, and I think it's Lancaster.
Okay. I just posted it.
Thank you.
Yay.
Yay! Don't buy their ice cream.
Don't buy their ice cream.
Save them for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, we learn all these tools in the foundation class, and you know, you learn the 1, 2, 3 and the 1, 2, 3, 4 and all these other numbers, and it's this energetic contribution. And how often do we actually put it into practice in a practical way. Because I know, you take the class and you remember some of it,
Mm-hmm.
but then stuff like this comes up, and this would be a good time to just grab your manual and go, okay, what awareness can I get, and open it up. And, maybe there's something there
Mm-hmm.
on the page that you happen to open to that will contribute also. The cool thing about access and awareness is that you don't have to have the answer. You can ask a question like that and just open the book. I can't tell you how many times I've done that in my life, even before I knew access. I remember going to the phone book back in the day when there was no internet. And like, I had this dream about etched glass, and I was like, wow, I wonder how I could find out like who could etch glass for me. And I just opened the phone book, and right there was this page and ad, like in a phone book, that thick.
Right.
I opened it right to the page. So asking the question, and then the universe can just flow to you all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah. And it's not linear.
Nope.
Right. It's like the pages know, hey, Julie needs that page. I'm gonna show up for her.
Yeah. And it's not just me, like all of us can do
Yeah.
it. I think the thing that stops it is thinking that you have to have the answer, or that there's only one answer, or that it's a problem, like any conclusion, really.
And over analyzing every situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So where else have you noticed that you contribute that you hadn't maybe seen before?
Wow. That is a great question. Wow. Where have I not acknowledged that, right? Yeah. If I just keep asking the question, things will just like be more jarring, or like, hey, look at me here.
It'll pop. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm. And like this, I didn't expect we would be talking about this, because this morning I was just asking like, what what is possible and available, for something to change around this farm issue here. And now we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And and what's cool about that is like your willingness to contribute to them will create some other thing coming into your world that you've been asking for.
Hmm. And this is so random too. I came across this farm when I was in acupuncture school, and just like randomly by talking with another classmate, and she told me about this place. Yeah, it's like opening your phone book,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Mhm.
Yes, magic is so easy and light that we don't think it's real. But what if what's easy and light is what's real, and all the heavy
And
stuff isn't?
and like magic, that word in itself, I can perceive the judgment with that word, or maybe
It's so true.
right.
Because like with the phone book thing, that was many, many years ago. It was probably 30 years ago. And that was when I started creating a product that I made called Magic Stones. And they were these little etched glass stones that I designed symbols and words like possibilities and believe and healing and kindness and things like that. And I had all these designs that I had created, and I didn't know how to get them onto something. And so then I had this dream about etched glass. And so woke up, opened up the phone book, and it just went, boop, 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 boop. It was so cool. And that business, well, it's actually still going, but I gave it to my stepsister after 25 years.
Wow. How was it time? Did you just
Yeah. I mean, it ramped up, and like at one point the product got onto Oprah and it exploded all over the world. And it was awesome because people were being empowered to create magic with, the power of affirmation and the tactile reminder. Um, and then it ramped down, and I was like, I wanted to create something else, basically. So
was
all
this
along,
time
what's
was
that?
when during this time were you already in Access or like
No, I've been doing Access 18 years. So I started that like 30 years ago.
did you come to an awareness that you like it's time to hand it over to some another person or
Well, that was like 5, 6 years ago. So yeah, my other business, I'm also a jeweler. So my other business was really taking over, and I didn't have the time to invest.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting because the product was called Magic Stones, and there were a lot of people who were drawn to it, but then there were a whole lot of people who were like, magic, that's bad, that's wrong, that's evil, that's black magic, that's,
Mm-hmm.
that's not possible. And it's like, okay, had I listened to them, I wouldn't have created, like, hundreds of thousands of people bought these things. And I wouldn't have created that in the world. I wouldn't have empowered all those people to choose and create magic in their lives.
You, yeah, when it comes to affirmations or words have energy. Like speaking of that, when I was going through my health situation, it was like I had to remind myself, like, so in my environment, I put words that were uplifting, just kind of remind me to not be so focused on like the frustration of healing
Yep.
and the length of time, the not knowing whether it's going to heal or not, just like this as simple as like being in the present moment and just live this moment and not give so much um weight on when and where my like this certain things is going to happen or not. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So did you primarily heal your body through the acupuncture and the changing your diet, or like when did access come into the picture?
I think the whole time I was trying to heal, it was frankly, it was a whole lot of different modalities, a whole lot of different um, aspects of my life.
Mhm.
And it's not just one or two. How can I put it? Like the way I can put it is like I am the CEO of my health and I have a board of directors. Like that could be 12 board of directors. One could be acupuncture. And it was at the tail end of my healing that I came across Access because I never gave up. One other one is could be like even Reiki, an holistic doctor, changing my diet, um, making sure I go down the rabbit hole and look at the anecdotal experiences of all these people who actually blog about how they heal themselves and not so much what the statistics says. In,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
That's cool.
and adding joy, like joy is one of my board of director. Play,
Ah,
joy, you know.
I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah,
Joy is one of my board of directors. I love that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
how Simone says your life is your business and your business is your life. So
yeah,
having joy as a board of directors is great.
yeah. and especially being Chinese, you know, like play is really like you don't people play. No, you got to work hard, study hard.
I
Yeah.
heard that when they first started having translators and stuff, that, and maybe this isn't true, you tell me, that in Chinese, there's no word for fun.
Yeah, if there was a word, it does have a negative connotation.
It's like there is no fun. It's either play or happy, but there's no fun. I just thought, wow, that's so interesting. Well, how lucky are you that, you know, that you have, you're from all over the world and you get to
Mhm.
have all these experiences and you get to have fun.
Yeah, how did I get so lucky? And that's one thing I need to acknowledge, that I actually have the courage to choose. Sometimes when it comes to what do you call it? Filial piety, something like that. It's like having the courage to sort of like, is it the word defy, or like the convention, defy the convention, like, you know, as a Chinese, being single, not married, and no children is really like, is really
So
bad.
that's why you're happy.
Yeah, I know. I know. We won't tell anyone. Yeah. Yeah.
No wonder.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, there is definitely something to be said for being single and happy.
Mhm.
It's not single and sad and miserable anymore. It almost seems to be that people who are long-term relationship are miserable, although it doesn't have to be. You know, using the tools and not divorcing yourself, you can create joy, whatever you're choosing.
Didn't you write a book about that?
I did. Yes.
What what's it
Beauty in the
called?
breakup.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, wow, it's already almost 10 o'clock. So I've got my other group to jump into, but this has been a wonderful conversation. And I love, you know, I love chatting with you and getting to know you a little bit. Maybe we'll do it again.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's so much fun.
Yeah. And thanks everybody listening.
Thank you,
If
everyone.
you have questions about stuff, you can always post it in the group here and maybe we can have a chat on those subjects. So have a great day, everybody.